Hey, today is gonna be absolutely insane. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite animes. And today I woke up early. I only slept for less than 7 hours solely because I had to finish watching an anime series. And what anime series that is? Well, it's Oreimo. And the full name of this anime is Ore no imoto ga konna ni kawaii wake ga nai. And it is based off of a light novel written by Tsugasa Fushimi, and it is adapted into an anime by studios called AIC Build. So, yeah, I'm gonna be honest here. Oreimo actually isn't that bad. I've been watching a lot of terrible I've been watching a lot of great animes lately, Bocce the Rock and Chainsaw Man. And I thought to myself, you know what? I got to, you know, watch some terrible animes from time to time. So I deliberately chose Oreimo, which I have heard from many people that it is a garbage anime, that it is incest slice of life trash. And I went into it with that mindset, and maybe it's because I set the bar really low. I was actually surprised that it's actually not that bad. Because if you think that this anime is about a brother loving or falling in love with his sister, you couldn't be more wrong. This is actually not the case at all. By the way, the title of this anime, Ore no imoto ga konna ni kawaii wake ga nai, means my own little sister cannot be this cute. But that really isn't a reference to the actual plot of the anime. This anime is actually about a brother and a sister, Kyosuke and Kirino, and their relationship, but it's nothing incestuous or romantic like that. In fact, they pretty much hate each other like any other siblings are. In fact, the real plot of this anime is that Kirino is an otaku. She loves eroge, she loves manga and anime, and she's a huge obsessed fanatic. And her brother isn't, but her brother, given how good of a brother he is, still manages to defend her and protect her. And that's actually surprisingly wholesome and nice. So let's talk about the OPs and the EDs. The OP is essentially, the song of the OP is your basic average passionate J-rock song that's really happy and blissful. It's nothing all that great, but it's not all that terrible as well. Also, the OP is surprisingly dramatic for some reason. Like the first shot is the main guy, Kyosuke, like freaking out and he's inside Kirino's eyeball. Like, why is it so goddamn dramatic? And then there's the EDs, which I think is nothing great. But what I really appreciate, however, is that every single episode of this anime has a different ED. There are 12 different EDs in this first season, which is kind of insane. It's kind of like Chainsaw Man, but except Oreimo did it first. So step aside, Chainsaw Man. Oreimo did it first. And yeah, the animation of the EDs is really crappy. They're like slideshows, they're like a JPEG. But I still appreciate that they found 12 songs and they wrote 12 songs for this anime. They're really fucking serious about this. And another thing I'd like to point out is actually the score. I totally didn't expect this at all, but the music is actually pretty good. It's surprisingly fun and jazzy and charismatic, and I love myself some jazzy anime score. There are times where I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it sounds cool and all, but you know what? Calm down, calm down. Just because it's jazz doesn't mean it's good. Your bias is showing. But there are many other tracks that are not as jazzy, but still as good. I did a little research. Turns out the composer is none other than Satoru Kosaki, who is the same guy who composed for Suzumiya Haruhi Beastars and the Monogatari series. Holy shit, literally my favorite anime composer. Literally. So can't go wrong with Satoru Kosaki. I like him just as much, if not more, than Joe Hisaishi and friggin' Yogo Kano and even Kevin Penkin. He is right up there. Now, the voice acting is also not bad. First of all, the main character Kyosuke is played by Nakamura Yuichi. And he is surprisingly fun and charismatic as the main character. And after watching this, I could totally understand why he is chosen, he is cast to be Gojo Satoru in Jujutsu Kaisen. He just oozes that charisma. Also, his character really reminds me a lot of Araragi in Monogatari series. They just share the same confusedness. Like the younger sister would say something ridiculous, and the younger brother would react in a very sarcastic way or in a very deadpan way, like there's no way it's gonna happen. And it just has that snarky energy that Araragi has, which I really like. And on top of that, we have Tanezaki Atsumi as Kirino, which is really good, and Kanahana as Kuroneko, which I think is freaking awesome because Kanahana is playing this Chunibyo type little girl, and I just find her performance really funny. Kanahana is just one of those voice actresses that can pull off comedy roles just as well as dramatic roles. Now, yeah, let's talk about the plot. Usually I dislike slice of life comedies, but I don't know why, but lately I've been getting into a lot of them and I've been enjoying a lot of them, all the way from Kaguya-sama to Kotaro Lives Alone to Bocce the Rock, and then now we have another slice of life comedy that I actually somehow enjoyed. And yeah, again, I came into this anime thinking that it's going to be hot frickin' garbage, but I was wrong because A, this one is really funny. B, it's surprisingly wholesome. And surprisingly, this anime doesn't have a lot of fan service. In fact, I've seen tons of other animes with more fan service than this one. Konosuba has more fan service than this anime, and so does many other animes out there. And again, incest is definitely not the main point. This anime is far from being a degenerate hot garbage. So let's go through all the episodes one by one real quick. Episode 1, we have the inciting incident where Kirino reveals her obsession with animes and mangas and eroges to her brother, and it's a very simple incident but really effective as well. I am immediately invested with what the hell's going on. Given that I am an older brother myself, and even though I don't have a younger sister, I have a younger brother, I can easily relate to Kyosuke's character, so maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm able to enjoy this anime a little more than your average person. Episodes 2 to 4 shows Kirino trying to make friends as an otaku because no one else in the world knows that she is obsessed with these animes and mangas and eroges, which makes her a stinky otaku, a weeb. So she desperately needs to find other friends who share the same interests with her. So we see her being socially withdrawn, and then her brother trying to help her find friends. It's wholesome, it's thoughtful, and genuinely heartfelt. On episode 3, the episode ends with Kyosuke defending Kirino in front of their strict father, even though Kyosuke didn't have to do that at all, but because he is a damn good brother, he defended his own sister in front of his father instead of just throwing her under the bus, which I thought is really moving and thought-provoking as well. We have episode 5, which I think is easily the best episode of Oreimo Season 1, where we have a pretty surprisingly well-written conflict, because, again, Kirino's obsession with manga and anime is bad. That makes her an otaku, and that has a lot of stigma to it, especially if you're from Japan or you live in Japan. You know that an otaku is like one of the worst things you can label someone, so of course that's why she's hiding it from her friends. One day, she couldn't hide it. Now, the anime could have pulled a cheap trick out of its pocket, like, oh, turns out the friend is also an otaku and immediately accepted Kirino for liking whatever she likes. Or, oh, maybe the friend didn't even notice that, Maybe the friend didn't even realize that Kirino is an otaku. Maybe Kirino is going to lie and, lie her way out of this predicament. But no, the anime faced this situation head on. Kirino lost a friend because her friend found out about her hobby. And simple and plain as that. And then the rest of the episode sees Kyosuke helping Kirino to make up with this friend again, and essentially telling this friend to accept Kirino for who she is, which is again really freaking wholesome. I totally did not expect this anime to do this at all. Episode 6, in comparison, is very tame because literally nothing happens. This is the first episode where I truly felt bored. And then we have episode 7, which I think is kind of mid as well. But there's one pretty moving moment where Kirino pours a bucket of water on her head because she's writing a story, she's writing a novel, and one of the characters in her novel is standing in front of the rain soaking wet. So she's really trying to put herself in her character's shoes so that she could write better. And even though earlier in the episode it feels like she's only writing her novel for funsies, and it's almost like she's not serious about it, and she's only using it as an excuse so that she could force her brother to buy her cool jewelries and whatnot. And again, kind of relatable because I'm a writer as well, and I sometimes also try to immerse myself in my character's shoes. And again, kind of worked for me. Episode 8 is a little weird because we have Kirino's character, after writing her novel gets adapted into an anime in the story, which is pretty insane. It's a really insane leap from episode 1 to this point. But what I like about this episode is that the story shows a little bit about the anime industry, which I think is really interesting, kind of meta. Episode 9, nothing really happens. All the characters stayed home. Kind of boring, unfortunately. If there's one thing I like about the episode is that it has a calming quality, because I also stay at home the whole day, usually. If I don't have any friends, if I have nothing to do, I stay at home the whole day. And this episode sort of gives me the same vibes, and it's actually very chill. Nothing all that crazy about episode 10 either. We have episode 11, which is surprisingly funny, especially the second half, where Kirino and her friends decided to throw a celebration party for Kyosuke, and at first it's really funny because of how awkward it is, but then it sort of becomes this really wholesome and personal moment where Kirino and Kyosuke, after arguing with each other, reconcile with each other, which I think is the climactic point of the whole show. Episode 12, the final episode. At this point, it's more of a drama, less of a comedy. We have Kirino making a decision between going to America for her training or staying at home because she loves her family. And we have that dynamic going on, and it's pretty moving. So yeah, this anime is not that bad. It really isn't. And I was prepared to give this a 3 out of 10, and then after the first few episodes, I'm like, maybe it's a 4, and then after episode 5, I thought it's a 5, and then after finishing the whole thing, I thought it's kind of a strong 6, maybe even to a light 7 out of 10. I'm gonna stick it with a strong 6, because it's not something that I would, return all over again. It's not something that I definitely love to watch, but it's surprisingly wholesome, it's surprisingly moving, and it's nothing like I've expected. So, strong 6. So, have you watched Oreimo Season 1? Comments below, let me know. Subscribe if you want more. And thanks for watching.